Most people think that building a website is going to be really hard, whether it's expensive or too techy or whatever it is, but it doesn't have to be if you do it right. Back when I got started, I was literally coding my website from scratch using like HTML, and it was terrible. Not only did it look bad, it didn't perform well, it took forever, and that's not the case anymore. After I did that, moved over to WordPress, and it was amazing. It opened up a whole new world of trying to find plugins that worked and getting hacked on my website and the whole site going down and Bluehost wanting more and more money to get my site unhacked. What's up? I'm Matt Pete, and I believe that the only two things you really need to have a thriving business is YouTube and sales funnels. I believe that so much that I made a bet with myself that I'm going to buy a Corvette in cash within 12 months, starting from scratch. So I'm gonna tell you exactly what to do, but more importantly, I'm gonna tell you why we're doing it. And this can be the difference between having a business that flatlines and one that can basically print you money. But before we get into that, so why is your website so important? Everybody's on social media trying to grow their social followings, right? It's actually more important than your social media following. Why? Because no platform can take you off. You can't get shadow banned. You can't lose all of your followers. You build a list that you own, and this is like your little piece of the internet. So having your website, having your sales funnels, and your whole like ecosphere is way more important than social media, because social media platforms can come and go. They can change, they can update algorithms and completely disrupt your income. So great for growing your list, but not for relying on them for income. So like I said at the beginning, I started out with coding my own websites. I went to school for graphic design and we had a coding class as part of that. So I was going to code my own website for Repeat Productions, which was my video production company at the time. And it was terrible. It was so painful. I even went back into like the Wayback Machine to see if I could find that first version. I found like an early version that I coded, but it wasn't the first version. Unfortunately, I like didn't archive it back then. It took forever. I did it in Dreamweaver. I had no idea what I was doing. I was copying code from other places because I literally remember the first time I made a box, literally a box with text in it. I was so excited. Oh man. Anyways, I left coding my own website behind, went over to WordPress. That opened up a whole new world of problems, really. It made it easier to design, yes, but ultimately I got hacked. And then Bluehost, who I was using for my host, please, friends don't let friends use Bluehost. It was terrible. I got hacked, and then they wanted more money to get my site unhacked. They're like, oh yeah, they turned your website into a honeypot, which basically means like there's no getting rid of them. You can completely delete your site and put it back up and it's still hacked. It was absolutely terrible. Between that and then it's like, oh, you want to have a community? Or you want to have a course? Cool, you got to go find a plugin and pay for that. You want to have an email list? Cool, you got to go find a plugin or a host or whatever and pay for that and then find a way to connect it over. So many annoying things with going with WordPress. Then you look at all the other options like Squarespace and Wix. Look, if you want to have a website on one of those, great, please do it. But through all of my research over the past, 15 years of doing this, ClickFunnels has been the only one that's been reliable. It's been there for a long time, and honestly, their customer support's amazing. But one thing I love about it is everything is there. You don't have to do something separate for your email. You don't have to have a separate thing to have a checkout even. Like you can sell things using just that platform. You can have a full-blown website or just sales funnels. You can do that and so much more just with ClickFunnels. So I'm gonna be talking about ClickFunnels and why it's important, why you should use that. If you don't want to use it, that's totally fine. If you want to jump in and learn how to build a funnel, which is basically a high converting version of a website. It's there to get you leads, get you sales, all that kind of stuff, all the things you want to do online, right? You want to make money? Great, you need a sales funnel. I linked it earlier, I believe, but I'm going to link it again if YouTube allows me to do that, because that video talking about why sales funnels is really important to understand. So I'm not going to get into all of that. But ClickFunnels is amazing. But I want to show you kind of like in a graph why it's so important here. With the learning curve, doing anything online, I used to know somebody who would get so frustrated with tech, right? Every time they had to learn something new, they'd get excited about the prospect of learning it and then get in there and be like, oh my gosh, I hate this so much. Why can't it just be easy? The trick is it was easy. They just had to put in time, right? So the learning curve with this, it's like any other learning curve. I can get my pen to write. There we go. So with ClickFunnels, it's like anything else. You're starting something new any kind of new software, you're going to have this learning curve that goes up and then goes back down, right? So it's, oh, I'm so excited right here. And then you're like, oh, how do I connect my domain? How do I send emails? How do I set up workflows? How do you do all this stuff? It's really hard until you reach this peak up here, right? Once you reach the peak and you know the software, you're like, oh, I got it. That's easy. I need to set up a workflow. Done. You can just knock these things out so quickly because the learning curve is one software. You learned how to use it and it's done. Here's the problem with going with most other solutions. And if they're all in one solutions, like competitors of ClickFunnels, cool. If you want to use them, great, please do. I'm not going to hate you for it. I've talked to people who've used it before and heard that it's an awful experience. It's kind of like Mac versus PC. It's like more customizable, but less reliable and way less user-friendly. But if you go with something like I did with WordPress, your learning curve here to build the site, right? Just like with ClickFunnels, you're gonna have to learn how to build the site. But then you wanna set up an email list. You have to have a separate platform, which there are some great email marketing tools out there, but you're gonna have to learn how to use those too, right? It's a completely separate company. It's not WordPress. So you've got another learning curve. So you're going along, you're like, oh, I need to set up an email list right about here. So you're like, oh, got to do another learning curve. And then you want to build a course. Oh, and courses, they can be intense on WordPress. I've heard they're great, but again, you got your email list going, you're like, oh, I want a course. There's another learning curve, right? So all of this stuff is taking up a ton of time. Whether you want to, now you want a funnel so you can sell something. You're like, oh man, I've got people in my course. I want to sell them this other thing. Got to build another funnel right there. You're learning how to do all of these different things and stitching it together from all the different places. Heaven forbid you use Shopify. I don't like throwing people under the bus, but I used Shopify recently. And yes, there's a learning curve, but in the process of that learning curve, I learned that it can't do a lot. And their answer to most everything was, oh, you need to hire a coder to do that for you. You need to know custom code. No. Because when you use ClickFunnels, you don't have to know custom code unless you want to do something fancy with CSS. And honestly, ChatGPT has done a lot of that stuff for me. It's actually crazy. That or join the ClickFunnels community. There's people in there that can help you out. With ClickFunnels, you're going to have one software that you have one learning curve for. So you want to send emails, you go in there, it's like, oh, the builder's the same. You want to build a course? Great, the builder's the same. All that stuff, it doesn't change. It's the same software. You go with something like WordPress, every time you want to add something in, you have to go through this whole learning curve, and heaven forbid it doesn't directly connect, because then you have to add Zapier in there, which cool, it connects the whole internet, it makes things possible, but that's another learning curve. And if you change one thing and the whole system breaks, then you have to go back in and troubleshoot that. Where with ClickFunnels, it's all built in and you don't have to do that. So if you're liking this video so far, if you could hit that like button for me and then leave a comment down below of your worst website experience. Because like I said, I've been hacked a lot with WordPress. I've gone through all kind of domain issues and email issues. I could go on for hours about all of the bad experiences. So leave it down below in the comments, your worst online website experience, trying to start your business, get things up and running. I want to see what it is. But yeah, like I said, ClickFunnels, you can build websites, you can build funnels, which I think you should build funnels. But having a website is really powerful, because in ClickFunnels, in our world, we call them funnel hubs instead of websites, because the whole point is to get them to go to your funnels, which is where you sell them something or give them something free. Like for instance, if you want a list of titles, outlier titles that I've curated from a bunch of different channels, go to mattpeet.com/titles. And that is one of my funnels that you'll see, where I'm going to give you a free PDF showing you outlier titles. And pro tip, put that into ChatGPT and say, hey, here's what my video is about. Give me some titles based on these outliers. And it will. It's absolutely amazing. And I'm constantly like growing that list. Anyways, if you want that, feel free to go grab it. Funnels are amazing because of that reason. You can give away something specific, and there's one point. You can target who you want to hit with that, and you have your funnel hub. So mattpeet.com, which may or may not be done being built yet, that is like the hub for everything I do. So whether I want to give away that title outlier, or if I want to sell a course or whatever, I'm leading them to the different funnels. Your website shouldn't just be there to exist. Yeah, you can have a blog that helps you with your SEO and all that kind of stuff, which again, ClickFunnels can do, and crazy. It's all done on the same platform, so you don't have to learn how to do anything different. It's amazing, right? But having the funnel hub, your website, directly integrate with your separate funnels, that's how you have a thriving business, because you want people to go to those funnels so you can make money, right? That's the whole point of business, is to make money. Money is the oxygen to business. I believe Gary Vee said that back in the day. So that's why websites are so important, and personally why I think you should be using ClickFunnels. If you want to get a free trial of ClickFunnels and go through a course that shows you how to build your first funnel, which this exact course, this exact challenge is what introduced me to this world and changed my life literally forever. It's called the One Funnel Away Challenge. You can go to mattpete.com/OFA. That gives me commission if you sign up for it. If you don't want to give me commission, then just Google One Funnel Away. That's totally fine. Either way, I think you should take the One Funnel Away Challenge because it's phenomenal. So I've told you why you need a website and why you should be using ClickFunnels, right? But how do you actually do it? Well, let me show you really quick. I'm gonna give you like a brief overview. If you want me to go more in depth, I'm trying to avoid more of the like tech heavy tutorials because tech changes. Where the buttons are located changes. I want to kind of give you the general overview. That way you can learn the language of the platform, and no matter how it changes, you know how to operate within it. I hope that makes sense. So how do you actually build a website on ClickFunnels? I'm gonna show you a brief overview. I don't wanna get in the weeds about the how-to tutorials as much unless you guys really need it. Maybe I could create like a course on YouTube, but tech stuff changes all of the time. So I kind of just want you to get the idea of how it's done so you can learn to kind of speak the language of ClickFunnels and how it works so you can get in there and get going fast, because I've been told that I'm super fast with ClickFunnels, and not to brag, but I've actually won a funnel building contest in the ClickFunnels group. There's like 300,000 people. The moderators, the admins, ambassadors get together sometimes, and we'll have these build-a-thons where we have an hour to build a funnel, and the best one wins at the end of the hour. And I've actually won, not to brag, but actually one of my clients offered me a job and part of his company to move to where he lives across the country and just do this for him full time because he liked his new site so much and built it all on ClickFunnels. It's absolutely amazing. So as you can see, here I am inside of ClickFunnels. The one thing you're gonna have to do is come over here and make sure to click the Add Apps button. And in here, you're gonna be looking for Site. So mine, it's already added, so it's at the bottom. Yours is probably gonna be somewhere in here. But once you add it, it'll be on the sidebar forever. So you can come in here and just click Site and Blog. You see it, Overview, Site Pages, all this kind of stuff. This is where you build your site. You can have your custom domain on there and everything. It's really cool. So you come in here and then you just click Edit Site, which right now I'm just kind of on a ClickFunnels tutorial. So you have all of your settings in here you can go around and play with. These are recent posts, blog posts, all that kind of stuff. But click Edit Site. That's gonna bring up your editor, which ClickFunnels, in my opinion, out of all of the builders I've used, and I've used a few, like I said, I've been WordPress with a few different themes on there, as well as Shopify. There were some other ones in there as well. I've done Squarespace. Anyways, ClickFunnels, in my opinion, is the best. As you can see, I kind of played around with it in here. You can hit that button and it does this. Come over here, click the image icon if you want to change your images. And inside of here, you have different ways you can search for images. So you can go to Pixabay and type in dog, and it's going to bring up images, and you click Save Image, and it's going to add it to your images, and boom, you have your dog there now. Super easy to do that. You can upload your own, obviously. Again, you just click on the icon and upload images. If you want to do that, to change stuff, it's literally just, you click and change it. If you want to change text, it's literally done in there. There's no short code or anything like that. This is how you build your site. You have your buttons that you can set them to do different things, whether it's open a pop-up or do any of these. You can have it scroll to different sections. It's amazing. You literally, and this is a template that came free with ClickFunnels. So you literally can just go in here and change all of this to your content. If you don't like this template, go find a different one. If you want to start from scratch, you can always come in here and just delete a whole section, right? You're like, I don't like that section, I'm gonna delete it. It's so easy to do. Then you have your sidebar over here where you can access all of your different pages. If you want to add more site pages, you can click the plus. Understandably, you have thank you pages, opt-in, funnel pages. But if you want to start from blank, you can do that as well. Call this my about page. You can choose if you want it to be indexed. So if you're doing something like building a funnel and you don't want to show your sales page, you don't want to show like the checkout page before they've landed, you might not want it to be indexed by a search engine, right? Because you don't want people to skip ahead in the process. But for an about page, something like that on your website, you want it to be indexed by the search engine because you want it to be found. All your blog posts, all that kind of stuff, you want it to be indexed. You can change this, you can change that later if you want to, and you can add it to your site navigation or not. So I'm gonna leave that checked, and then you click create page. And then it's gonna open up that same editor, and boom. So this is what it looks like with a blank page. You can come in here, you can have saved sections. So you can come to the headers and okay, let's see. Oh man, there's a lot to choose from. I'm just gonna choose this one because that's easy. But then you can come in here and customize it completely. So boom, you can change all this. You can delete text and delete the whole block if you want. So yeah, I mean, you come in here and add a whole new section. You can make it 2 columns. So you can say, okay, I'm gonna add an image, and then I'm gonna add some text, and then I'm gonna add, you come up here to the search bar if you want and type in button. So yeah, that's how easy it is to actually build on ClickFunnels. Super easy to get your site up and running. If you really want to take the building process to the next level, whether you're like trying to funnel hack other pages or just get color schemes and everything right, there's actually a free plugin called Barnum PT. It is a completely separate video that I will not get into right now because it's a powerful add-on tool that's completely free. If you want that, just leave a comment down below and I'll make a video specifically for that. Okay, so now you've got your site and you know why you're using ClickFunnels, because you like to simplify things in your life. But what do you do once you have your site? Once you have your funnel, right, up and running, what's next? Well, this is where 90% of people drop the ball because they think if I build it, they will come. You have your website. Why aren't people coming? Because you're not marketing. Building the funnel and building the website, that's the 20%. The 80% is getting people to it, right? So how do you do that? And that is where the theme of this channel came from. It's YouTube and funnels. They go together. Why start with YouTube? I actually have a whole video. I'm gonna link on a title card somewhere at the top here that tells you how to take YouTube content, how to start with YouTube and break that down into other pieces of content. So that way you have a ton of content to post everywhere. You're not having to come up with fresh things for every different social media platform. You start with this one and it's like a waterfall effect, a trickle down effect from there. And all of that content feeds into your funnels where you actually make the money. So go check out that video. It's really important and it will solve the problem that, again, most people make when they build a funnel or they pay me to make a funnel. And then they're like, oh, thanks so much for the funnel. How do I get traffic to it? Again, whole separate video in itself, whether you want organic. I need to do one on ads one day. I know a guy who has spent over $150 million in ads. Ads are fast, but they're also constant. So you're constantly having to tweak and make sure things work. Whereas if you build your organic reach, then you can fill up your funnels with free traffic because you can just go on whatever platform you're big on and say, hey, got a new offer, go check it out. If you're running ads, it's constantly putting money in, and the second you stop putting money in is the second you stop getting leads and sales. So there is a balancing act of needing both of these things. Ads can get you going really quick, really fast if you can get somebody who knows what they're doing with that. But long-term content might take a little longer to see results, but it'll definitely pay off in the long run. So typically at this point, I have a lot of questions people are still throwing at me, which if you have questions, drop them in the comments below because I'll make a video addressing it specifically. But I have people saying, will it work for coaches? Will it work for e-com? Will it work for brick and mortar stores? Yes, it will literally work for any business. I'm building one right now for a brick and mortar store, and I just got done building one for a course, and I built one for a financial, like a wealth manager, like a month ago. It works literally in any industry. Again, ClickFunnels does, whether you're using ClickFunnels or you want to go with a competitor for whatever reason. I can't think of one personally, but if you wanted to, you definitely could. And don't say it's price. People are like, oh, it's price, it's too expensive, I'm gonna go with Squarespace. Guys, I think you can get ClickFunnels for like $97 a month for like their first tier. That's all you need. And it's oh my gosh, if you think $97 a month is a lot of money, then you need to work on your mindset before you need to build a website. Because $97 a month, I won't get into that. That's a separate video. I'll get heated on that one. Just pay for ClickFunnels. I promise if you do everything, put in the work, $97 will one day feel like nothing, right? You'll be like, oh, $97, totally worth it. I don't even feel that. But if you're constantly in that mindset of scarcity, you'll never be able to afford ClickFunnels. Just my 2 cents. People say, what if I don't have any tech skills? I literally, the One Funnel Away challenge I told you guys you need to go check out at mattpete.com/OFA. I actually facilitated that challenge for a while. I came full circle. I was one of the coaches in there. one of the coolest experiences. I loved doing that. But we had a lady join. She literally didn't know what the challenge was that she joined. She joined it. She's like, what are we learning in this challenge? Like, you signed up for it. What do you mean you don't know what you're learning? By the end of that challenge, she had a funnel up selling hot sauce for her company, and people were buying it. Like, before the 30 days was up, she had people buying her hot sauce through her funnel. Absolutely amazing. So, and she was like 60. So you're not too old if that's what you're thinking. It was absolutely beautiful to watch her like go from what is this challenge to I'm making money with a funnel now. It was so cool. So no, you don't need to be a techie person to make this work, especially if you go through the One Funnel Away challenge. They hold your hand and walk you through it over the course of, I think, 30 days. So I also get asked, what if I already have a website? Again, I just rebuilt somebody's website. They were on WordPress, hated it because of all of the same issues I've mentioned before. And I moved them over to ClickFunnels. Because ClickFunnels is so easy to build, it was actually fun to do it. And I did the whole thing, broke it up over a few days. But if I had sat down, I probably could have done it in 2 days and rebuilt their entire site on ClickFunnels. It's not difficult once you get in there and you play around with it and you kind of see where everything is. Once you get used to ClickFunnels, it's so fast. But yeah, you can just rebuild it on ClickFunnels and simplify your life. Another misconception people have, especially if they've been in the online world for a minute, they say, isn't ClickFunnels just for funnels? Well, no, it used to be until people started actually using the old version of ClickFunnels to make websites. They were like rigging it together. And ClickFunnels was like, why don't we just make a new platform that does it? So they updated their entire software. So now, again, it does everything. I've covered that in this video, but I get asked that all the time. Does it just do funnels? No. If you want a website, funnels, email, pipeline, CRM, message hub, all that kind of stuff, it does it. You won't need any other tool. There are people who literally have won 2 Comma Club awards, which basically means you've made $1 million using ClickFunnels. It's doable. It has everything you need. Trust me. And then for the newer people, they come in and they're asking, what about my own domain? Can I use my own domain? Yeah, absolutely. I use GoDaddy to host my domains. You can use pretty much any like registrar is what it's called to have your domain. Again, I use GoDaddy because it's simple. It literally connects it for you. Like you go into ClickFunnels and you type in your domain. It says, oh, this one is with GoDaddy. You log in to GoDaddy and it automatically connects the domain. You don't have to go and do all of the like copy and pasting code or whatever. ClickFunnels does the heavy lifting for you. So I get asked all the time. Number one question I get asked is, what is a funnel? And in my opinion, a funnel is better than a website, and you should probably build a funnel first and not a website. In my opinion, websites are vanity metrics, but if you're here for a website, yes, you can still do that. But I want you to know why you need a funnel. And I actually made an entire video specifically for that, breaking down the differences between websites and funnels, doing a deep dive on that. So click right here to watch that video, and I'll see you next time.